Alright, in this video we're going to continue discussing movement and fire and spotting when it comes to helicopters, and we're going to continue on with the conditions that weren't covered in our previous video. Now when it comes to making a spotting attempt, we discussed how a helicopter can either auto spot or not auto spot adjacent enemy units depending on whether or not the helicopter is in flying or hover mode. Now a helicopter that is in hover mode can make a normal spotting attempt. So our Cobra located here, if it switched into hover mode, it could make a spotting attempt against these Russian troops located in the building, just like any other vehicle could make a normal spotting attempt. Also, when it comes to helicopters, they have the ability to kind of move and fire around without restriction. And they must complete all of the fire that they're going to conduct, though, during that same impulse. They can't fire some weapons now and some weapons later. So what I mean by that is, let's say our helicopter started over here, it could fly up, fire its weapons at this Russian vehicle, and then fly over here and be marked fired and finish its impulse. Helicopters are going to observe the previously stated rules that we've gone over in previous videos when it comes to vehicles, and they're listed down in the rule book. But for an example of what I mean by that is, you see our Cobra attack helicopter here has a firepower of 4 and there's no range listed down. Well, just like for any other vehicle, a firepower of 4 is going to have a range of 14. If it had a firepower of 2, it'd have a range of 10. And just like with other ground vehicles, that asterisk stands for the fact that it has a 360-degree field of fire. You can also see that our Cobra here, since it's a modern vehicle, some of them are going to have access to anti-tank guided missiles. This one does. And if it goes to fire that ATGM, it cannot fire any of its other ordnance weapons during that impulse. So if our Cobra attack helicopter here fired and used its ATGM at the Russian vehicle, it'd be marked as fired for the impulse, but it could not take and then fire some of its remaining ordnance. Now, speaking of firing its ordnance weapons, a helicopter can get the acquiring and acquisition markers that are applied when an ordnance weapon does fail to destroy its target, but it has to be in hover and stay in that hex. So what I mean by that is, let's say our AH-1 here is in hover mode, it fires its ordnance weapons, fails to destroy the vehicle, it would then be marked acquiring as normal, getting the modifier that applies, and the same restrictions would apply that would normally remove these are going to apply to the helicopter, as well as if it were to go to a flying mode or move out of that hex, then it would lose those acquiring markers as well. Also, when it comes to marking helicopters, they're going to be marked just a little bit different from other vehicles. If they move to a new hex, change their mode, or unload passengers, they're going to be marked as ops complete. If they fire any of their weapons, they're going to be marked obviously as fired. And if they were already ops complete, you'll remove the marker ops complete and replace it with a fired marker instead. Speaking of which, though, they can op fire if they are marked as ops complete, but there are going to be some modifiers applied. Their machine gun value is going to be reduced by half, and then any other applicable modifiers, and their ordnance weapons are going to have a +2 added to their to hit rolls.